Thank you, Caroline. In your presentation, you touched, you touched on the fact that you sort of fell into your partnership with the university, and that actually links in very nicely with my section, because Interface has very much been set up to fast-track that process in terms of engaging with academia. We were set up as an organisation in 2005, and really we were created out of a recognition at the time that the Scottish business community and academic community weren't working together as much or as well as they could be. Now, there's a number of reasons to this, some of which have already been alluded to. A general lack of awareness within the business community of what universities can offer, lack of a clear entry point into the institutions, their intimidating nature of them, and also difficulties in articulating business problems or challenges into academic proposals. And so Interface was very much set up in a way to overcome these barriers. Essentially, we are an impartial, honest broker that is here to encourage and facilitate collaborative relationships between businesses and academia to the benefit of both parties. And over the last 8.5 years, we've helped put together over 700 collaborations. When we first started, there was just 2 people working out of our office in Edinburgh. Such has been the demand for the service that we offer that we're now a national team with 19 of us based around the country. In addition to our headquarters in Edinburgh, we have a satellite office in Inverness and representation in Aberdeen, Dundee, Glasgow, Perth and Dumfries. So wherever your organisation may be based, there will be a local contact for you to engage with. In terms of who we do engage with, we work with any business of any size in any sector looking for any type of expertise. But mainly we're engaging with small to medium-sized enterprises who are collaborating with universities for the very first time. So it's very much a new process we're taking them through, and it involves trying to encourage a new mindset, adopting an open innovation outlook, and recognising the benefits that businesses and organisations can reap by bringing in outside expertise. Of the businesses we've engaged with, around 3/4 are going through a collaborative process with a university for the very first time. So again, it's very much a new experience for most of them. On the academic side, again, we're completely impartial. We work with all of the universities and most of the research institutions in Scotland. These are our customers too, so we work with them on an ongoing basis to make sure there's clear lines of communication and best practice, and we have a dedicated point of contact within each institution whom we meet with regularly to keep updated, discuss what outcomes and projects are underway, and try and push through any blockages that may be happening. So in terms of how our model works, we have to start by going out into the business community and informing them of the opportunities available. And we do that in a variety of ways. We have a strong social media presence, particularly on Twitter and LinkedIn and via our e-newsletters and websites. We attend a lot of events, exhibitions, networking opportunities, and we also host events such as this, which are ideal platforms to spread the word about the service that we offer. We also actively work with business support organisations such as Scottish Enterprise, Highlands and Islands Enterprise, Business Gateway, local chambers of commerce, to make sure that people who are coming into contact with SMEs are aware of the service that we offer and are referring businesses to us. And that's a key part of where much of our business comes from. So when a business does come to us, by whatever route they've taken, they always have one thing in common. They have a specific development need within their organisation that they can't address themselves. What we do is we work with the organisation intensively, one-to-one, to articulate that business need into what is hopefully an appealing academic project, and that's a key part of the service that we offer. Once we've got that agreed, we then do a search of all the universities and research institutions in Scotland and approach those that we think have the right expertise. We give these institutions 2 weeks to come back to us, and at the end of that time, all the positive expressions of interest are collated into one document so that the business or organisation can then make an informed decision as to who they want to progress with and perhaps meet and discuss where this might go. We facilitate those introductions that the business requests, and at that point we take a bit of a step back, but we do remain on hand to offer impartial advice and guidance as the discussion process continues until such time as a collaborative project is agreed. Of the 700 collaborations that we've put together, there's a huge range of types of collaboration that have taken place. And one of the things that we try and do as an organisation is inspire businesses and organisations that there's many different ways of interacting with a university. It's not just student projects. There's a huge range of different ways of engaging with academic institutions. Everything from accessing research, access to equipment and facility, straightforward consultancy. There's a huge range of options available that vary in size and scope, and we're well placed to advise our clients on what might be best for them. In terms of why businesses use us, we survey our clients regularly, and we've always had really positive impacts from the service that we offer. You can see on the slide, there's lots of very good things up there: job creation, jobs being safeguarded, new patents, new company registration, lots of very, very positive impacts from their association with Interface and their subsequent introduction to Scottish universities. What's not up there, but what I think is quite relevant, is in 2010, as part of our 5-year review, we asked companies we'd worked with whether the project that they'd conducted with the university would have gone ahead anyway at that particular time, and only 26% of them answered positively. So I think that sort of reflects that by taking some of the time and pain out of accessing universities, we can really add value. And on the academic front, and Peter's already touched on this, why might academics want to work with your organisation? Because it helps advance their research. It gives them industry experience. It really, really does add to what they're doing. So there is a lot of willingness to work with businesses and third sector organisations. I'm going to talk briefly about funding, which is a big issue for all the businesses we engage with, but perhaps particularly to third sector businesses. There's a huge range of funding options available, and part of the service that we offer is we signpost what's available. Now, as you move up this scale, the size of investment from the business side and the level of technical risk increases. But there's an awful lot of different options there. Everything from student projects down here on the left up to knowledge transfer partnerships, which are collaborations lasting up to 3 years. There really is a big range there. But bearing in mind that almost 3/4 of the businesses we engage with are undertaking a first-time collaboration, by far that most activity takes place in this bottom left-hand corner. And so with that in mind, I'm going to talk about one specific funding mechanism, and that's innovation vouchers. So innovation vouchers is a funding mechanism that is financed by the Scottish Funding Council and administered by Interface. These are £5,000 grants that are available to offset the cost of collaborating with a university for the first time, and they can be matched on the company end in kind if cash is not available. So they're a very attractive option to many businesses. They are open to all SMEs, including third sector organisations, with main business operations in Scotland that have an SC number. Each business can have one innovation voucher, and they're very much aimed at kickstarting new relationships that will be sustained and not just a quick fix. They're now in their 5th year. Each year, the Scottish Funding Council has released more of these to be taken up, and there is still money in the pot for this year's allocation. So if any viewers or participants today have seeds of ideas as to what this might be used for, it's well worth bearing this in mind as a possible funding option. Finally, I'm just going to briefly talk about some of the third sector organisations we've already engaged with at Interface, one of them being Alban Housing Society Limited. This organisation was set up in 1973 with just a handful of employees. 40 years on, they have 63 employees, 2 offices in Invergordon and Inverness, and they manage over 2,750 properties, either through affordable rent or low-cost housing schemes. Now, they came to us because they were interested in introducing assisted living services to some of their vulnerable residents, and they weren't really quite sure how to go about that. They were looking to access telecare, telehealth, and find out what was available and how they could integrate it into their service suite. We facilitated an introduction with the Centre for Rural Health at the University of the Highlands and Islands, and together they applied for an innovation voucher and were able to undertake a feasibility study, first of all to look at what this new model of service delivery might look like, what would the impact be, not just on the business but on the residents, and how this could be implemented and measured long term. It's really given them a roadmap to now take this forward to the next stage and hopefully implement these assisted living services that they will hope to offer their clients. Another organisation we've engaged with is the Renfrewshire Community Health Initiative. This is a voluntary organisation that's based in Paisley that focuses on reaching those in the community who don't tend to access healthcare. It's really trying to improve the healthcare of the community as a whole and promote self-help. They came to us because they were wanting to move from being a voluntary organisation to becoming a social business. And not only did they want assistance in how to do that, but they wanted to document it over a 3-year period. We were able to introduce them to Glasgow Caledonian University, and together they undertook an initial scoping study to look at what this process might look like, map out what the steps could be, what the lessons learned might be, what the barriers are, and again, what the impacts would be, both on them as an organisation and to the people in the community that they're trying to help. Now, they again applied for an innovation voucher to conduct this initial scoping study, and following that, the qualitative data that was generated from that scoping study was used to frame a PhD studentship, which will now be used to take forward the 3-year study and documentation process. So there was a direct follow-on from that initial small-scale intervention. Which is a really nice example of how something quite small can lead to bigger things. Less tangible benefits were, or more intangible benefits were that the association with Glasgow Caledonian University has given Renfrewshire Community Health Initiative greater clout and credibility with their stakeholders. And on the university side, they now have first-hand experience of the issues that a small third sector organisation are facing. So again, it enhances their research. So having put together lots of collaborations, we're kind of well placed to advise and guide on things to bear in mind when engaging with a university. As has already been alluded to, communication is absolutely key. A clear agreement on costs, IP, and what outcomes you're looking for, and making sure that you're happy with them. Timelines is another issue, making sure that you're happy with those timelines and that you have agreed milestones along the way. And what I would say on a final note is when you're engaging with a university, it's not a linear commercial transaction, it's a collaborative development process. So you have to bear that in mind, that you're working with a different type of institution that comes with its own restrictions and benefits, but you have to be able to work within that framework. So that takes us to the end of the formal part of today's presentation. We now have time for some questions and answers. So if I could ask the speakers to come to the front here.